retribution, censoring, or sanctioning, whatever it takes, even against our best friends in Europe, in order to say, if you say it in the United States, you cannot be prosecuted in another country. Is that something you believe that we should do as a tenet of global democracy that America was founded on? We weren't founded just on the question of rights here. We were founded on spreading democracy and freedom around the country. So yes or no to the greatest extent possible. Should we, in fact, begin a process of doing what I know the chairman wants to do and I want to do, which is making you a protected person if you say it in America, if you publish it in America, that we will not allow you to be prosecuted for that speech in another country? I'll go start with the doctor.
Yes, I have to say that I'm very happy for your support to freedom of speech. And I noticed that you all have raised great respect to the First Amendment. And I'm happy for the support that you give.
Mr. Chairman, briefly, could the others
Mr. Price and Mr. Linehan.
Yes, that would be I think that's a great idea. If they won't, like we need freedom of speech, it's that important. And these are, I know there's been efforts to dismiss the subject of the trans issue, but it's a very important issue. A lot of children have been hurt. Thousands of children have been hurt. They've been received double mastectomy.
Mr. Price, briefly.
Yep.
Yes, sir. I think it's a very wise idea, and there are plenty of options, I think, that we could discuss.
Thank you. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. The gentlelady from Washington is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have a 5-alarm fire here on the First Amendment rights in the United States, and even your Republican witnesses have said that this is the model. You wish you had it, right, Mr. Price? And yet, this committee is spending no time at all on actually looking at that. It's the first time Republicans have wanted to import foreigners to talk about any issue, but let me just be clear that right now we have a situation where Trump's ICE and Border Patrol agents are routinely using excessive force, killing 2 U.S. citizens, using chemical weapons, physically assaulting and threatening people, directly attacking people who are exercising their free speech rights hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. And with respect to Mr. Price and Mr. Issa, who seem to suggest that the courts can resolve everything, there is no court order that can bring back people from the dead after they've been shot. So this is a serious issue, and I don't want you all to be used to further some false thing about how we have to fight for free speech rights of Americans in your countries when we are not addressing the First Amendment right here at home. And you don't have to just take my word for it. I have a video to play. Please play the video. Those are just a small fraction of what is happening in the United States of America. So be very careful when you come here at the request of my Republican colleagues to testify on the abuses of First Amendment rights. When we have this happening right here in this country, do not let yourselves be used. Mr. Mayo, as Executive Director of the ACLU of Minnesota, you and your colleagues have been on the front lines of Trump's assault on Americans' free speech rights. And the video we watched is so horrific, and yet there are so many more terrifying tactics that immigration agents and Border Patrol agents are using against people of all statuses. In fact, Tom Homan seems to suggest that their intimidation and attack tactics on First Amendment protections will continue, saying, quote, that they will not draw down on personnel providing security and responding to hostile incidents until we see a change in what is happening. And let's be clear that while he is admitting that Kristi Noem has failed in this whole effort when he says he'll draw down 700 agents in Minnesota, that's still 2,300 agents that are left in Minnesota, 4 times the size of the local Minneapolis police force. So can you just describe how agents are surveilling people and the fear that even US citizens face in being threatened at their homes?
Yes, thank you for the question. I'll tell you about Sue Tincher, who is our lead client in our lawsuit, Tincher versus Nome. She has been living in Minnesota for 30 years. She heard about an ICE activity in her neighborhood. She went out to the site and a distance from an ICE agent, simply asked the question, "Are you ICE?" She was then tackled in the snow, arrested, taken to the Whipple Detention Center, and at that site she had parts of her clothes cut off, she had her purse cut off, and she had her wedding band cut off. This is not normal, what is happening. And I just want to make that very clear, that this is not normal law enforcement.
And there are cells in Whipple specifically for U.S. citizens who are being held, most of whom are then being released without charges. I have a series of very quick questions. Are you aware of any city in Belgium where 3,000 agents have been deployed and those agents are dragging people out of their cars?
Not that I'm aware of.
Any city in the UK where federal agents point firearms at civilians exercising their legal right to observe them? Quickly, Mr. Mayel.
In recent years, not that I'm aware of.
Are you aware of any city in the EU where a federal agent has shot and killed a citizen and the leaders of that country justified the killing with no credible evidence before any investigation had occurred?
In recent moments, not that I'm aware of.
Thank you, Mr. Mayel. I think the situation is clear. This committee should focus on our First Amendment violations right here at home instead of pulling people in from other countries. That's where we have to protect our democracy and our rights, right here at home. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Gentleman from Texas is recognized.
I thank the chairman. Mr. Mayel, let me ask you a question. Kenneth Moreno Guzman, a criminal illegal alien from Mexico, forcibly broke into the back door of a family's home on January 12, 2025, a year ago, and proceeded to rape an 11-year-old girl and held her 10-year-old sister at knife point, was sought after to be removed by ICE. Should ICE remove that individual from the United States?
I mean, first off, I want to say that's tragic. It's horrific.
Yes or no? Should ICE carry out its function to remove that individual from the United States and get him to law enforcement for prosecution?
Every victim deserves justice.
Hector Valderas Healer, a criminal alien from Mexico, was arrested for a felony hit and run that killed an 11-year-old boy on Thanksgiving morning. ICE worked to get this person in custody. Should ICE do that?
What I'm talking about is not normal law enforcement.
Should
I want to
ICE
be really
remove,
clear about that.
yes or no? Should ICE remove these individuals who are a danger to the American people? Yes or no?
I'm here to speak
Yes
about
or
what
no?
is happening.
Should ICE carry out its function in law enforcement to remove these people who are killing Americans? Yes or no?
ICE has the ability to do its law enforcement activity.
So
What I'm
ICE should
talking
carry
about
out
is
its
not
law enforcement
normal law.
function to remove people who are harming the American people, such as the next person,
with due
Marvin
respect-
Fernando Morales Ortez, a criminal illegal alien from El Salvador, brutally murdered a resident inside his home in Western Virginia, just one day after sanctuary politicians refused to honor the ICE arrest detainer and released him from jail. That's what we've been dealing with. That was the product of the previous administration. Now we're trying to remove dangerous actors, and you all want to turn that into some sort of cause celeb.
I'm trying to speak about something that is not normal law.
My time, Mr. Mayel. Meanwhile, Mr. Price, in the United Kingdom, do you not have your own level of immigration problems?
Yes, sir.
Right now, are there not significant impacts by a massive increase in the Islamic population in London and throughout the entire UK? And now, is it not true that there are significant questions about whether the UK will adopt anti-Muslim hate speech provisions? For example, a draft definition that says anti-Muslim hostility is engaging in or encouraging criminal acts, including acts of violence, vandalism. But here's the key part. That is harassment, intimidation, which is directed at Muslims or those perceived to be Muslim because of their religion, ethnicity. Also, the prejudicial stereotyping and racialization of Muslims. Is that kind of language not also going to interfere with free speech?
It's very serious. We have a client who was arrested for preaching the gospel, and on the arrest, one of the arresting officers said you shouldn't be saying those kind of things during Ramadan.
So there is a direct connection to dealing with immigration policy and what we're dealing with from a First Amendment standpoint. Now, I want to direct some questions to Dr. Rosnan. First of all, thank you. Thank you for standing up. Thank you for standing up in the face of the tyrannical interference with your ability to carry out your faith and speak freely about it. As you know, a number of us have been watching this very closely. and we are proud of what you've been doing to send a message around the globe. Let me ask you just a couple of quick questions. Is it correct that the alleged crimes against you, that were charged against you,